Welcome to Pisgah Health Today. My name is Angela Owen, and it is my privilege to host this program that is brought to you by the Pisgah Health Foundation. The Pisgah Health Foundation is a public 501c3 charity founded in 2019 by a board of 7 caring individuals who are committed to improving the health, wellness, and lives of Western North Carolina residents. Our special guest today is Trent Humphreys. Trent comes to us as the organizational lead. Welcome to the program today, Trent.
Good.
Love
Glad to
that
be here.
name. He is the organizational lead for Blue Zones Project Brevard. And let me tell you a little bit of his background. He is graduated from Erskine College with an exercise science degree. I love that. My son is also a student there at Erskine. He has spent the last 20 years managing health clubs and personally training both individuals and groups. He is a longtime competitive endurance athlete who always practices what he preaches, and his most recent adventure before jumping on board here with the Blue Zones Project was as the fitness director for the city of Brevard. Trent consistently encourages and motivates those around him to set the bar a little bit higher for themselves, and I am so looking forward to learning and talking with you. Again, welcome to the program today, Trent.
I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Well, tell us the elevator speech. What is Blue Zones?
Oh, wow. I've only been asked that a few million times.
I bet.
It was founded by a gentleman by the name of Dan Buettner. He set out to do some research for National Geographic to find the places in the world where people not only lived the longest, but lived the healthiest lives. And based on that research, the Blue Zones were born, and it is a community-led initiative, kind of a reverse engineering to create an environment where most people spend their time to make healthy choices easier to make.
I love it. Well, we need to keep that in mind as we listen and understand, your experiences, your passions. What led you to Brevard? Help us to connect the dots for how you got into this space of now being the organizational lead for Project Blue Zones Brevard.
Well, wow. As a teenager, I used to come up to Brevard to the National Forest and mountain bike a lot. And I did that through college. My parents have friends that live here, so we used to vacation here. They were school teachers, so we never had, much money to take extravagant vacations. We would just come and stay at a mountain cabin every summer. I even worked at YMCA Camp Greenville 1 year as a camp counselor. I proposed to my wife at Pretty Place, and we got married there. So Brevard's always been home. But yeah, I did travel a good little bit. I was the district manager for one of the largest and oldest independently owned chain of health clubs in the state of North Carolina called Spa Health Clubs. They've since been bought out 5 or 6 times, since then. But moved back to South Carolina. My wife is a school teacher. We moved here 8 years ago. And as a school teacher, my wife discovered that she was losing her South Carolina retirement. So she had to go back across the state lines. But I stayed. I stuck around based on the business that I had formed here, which is personal training. And you mentioned that I was the fitness director for the city of Brevard. I still do that work with different departments, police department, fire department, finance department, different departments within the city of Brevard. Just helping them achieve their goals, helping them just be educated, motivated, learning why it's so important to do certain things to make it stick and have that sustainability. And it's been really exciting watching those lives being changed. Not only their lives personally, but their families, their spouses, their coworkers, their neighbors, their church family members. It's really neat to see that trickle-down effect. And that more or less is a smaller example of what the Blue Zones Project truly is. It's getting people excited and doing it together, jointly as a group, having that accountability, but just really starting a movement to a healthier, longer life. I've not met a single individual that said that they wanted to be more unhealthy tomorrow than they were today. So everyone, I believe, has that interest. And we're just trying to make it doable and sustainable through reverse engineering. So I could ask the question, have you ever been on a diet, Angela?
Have I ever been on a diet? Can't we all say yes to that at some point in life?
Yeah, and you've probably, maybe set a New Year's resolution a time or two. But, did it work? For most people, it doesn't. As a manager of health clubs, through 2 states, I've probably managed at least a dozen health clubs, but statistically, I've seen the same thing happen. You have that influx of new members coming in January because they've made those resolutions, but 90% of those new members are gone within 90 days. So that's always been frustrating for me, and just the psychology of just getting in there. Why? Maybe they just don't understand what to do, or their why isn't big enough to make those changes happen.
Well said along the way. Really lifestyle is a huge part of what I hear around the Blue Zones project and the why. Well, as the organizational lead, what does that mean? What are the impacts? I've often heard it said that Trent does all things places, but I'm not sure that captures it. But tell us, what does that mean for you to be the organizational lead?
Well, it's a community-led collaborative effort. There are 3 of us. There's someone responsible for policy. There's someone responsible for engaging people in the marketing and the social aspect of it. And then there's me. So when you're looking at life radius and where most people spend their time, that's school, maybe eating out at restaurants, grocery stores, but more importantly, work. So work sites. And I'm responsible for getting those organizations engaged, involved, to make a healthier choice, an easier choice where they work, where they live, or where they spend the majority of their time during the day. I believe an elementary school student spends over 900 hours a year in school, and that only goes up in middle and high school when you're talking about sports. But that is a huge influence that we can positively have. Childhood obesity has become an epidemic. I believe it's 69% of Americans are now considered obese or overweight. And for the first time in history, it is said that our children won't be outliving their parents. So it's time for us to wake up, and it's time for us to take a proactive approach, because healthcare has typically been, and I know that you'll agree with this, and the folks at Pisgah Health Foundation will agree with this as well, but it has been reactive. It has been health repair instead of, getting ahead of it. We've been putting the cart before the horse for too long, and it's just trying to get back to the basics, get to the core. That's the only way that we're going to fix it.
What have you found to be the challenges as you continue to work on those things that you said with the organizations, as well as the things that are going really well today?
I believe the elephant in the room is COVID-19. So, as being responsible for engaging organizations, as organizations, some of those organizations have literally been fighting to survive, and then just kind of shifting their environment a bit, just trying to adapt with, I hate to say it, the new normal. But that has ultimately been the challenge, just keeping people engaged. Because when we started this project, everybody was really excited. There was a lot of momentum. There was a lot of positive energy. And then it's hit. And that kind of put the pause button on it. It shook everybody up just a little bit. But I've noticed that people are still excited, which is, a good thing. People are coming together like I haven't seen. Brevard is a wonderful place for that. It's just everyone is supporting each other, sharing resources, working together, not only to survive, but just keeping that big picture in mind of what it is that we want to do and what we want to accomplish. Brevard was chosen because people here, chosen by leaders within the community, because they're ready for that positive change, and they've seen the statistics of what has been done in other Blue Zone communities, and that one of the main things that I think that we're all going to see an impact from is just the healthcare cost reduction. When you hit something head on in a proactive approach, you eventually start taking out those risk factors, but it's something that we don't necessarily get people to try to do is just creating an environment where making those healthier lifestyle choices are easier to make. So the bad has been COVID-19. The good is that we're still positive and kind of gung-ho about this, very passionate about positively changing people's lives and the community that we live in, to make it a healthier, happier place to live and raise our families.
So my hope is that we bring the energy as we come out of hibernation to be able to move into that healthier space. But what are you most excited about as you look forward into the future of this project? What are you most excited about?
Me personally would be schools. You mentioned that I an exercise science degree. I was a PE teacher, but I never taught PE. I taught special ed, self-contained. But I coached basketball as well. My dad was an administrator. He was an elementary school principal. My wife's a teacher. I have two sons, so PE has been something that's been very passionate to me, because growing up in high school, maybe your high school PE teacher was similar to this, but when PE time rolled around, he would roll out a basketball and go sit in his office and read the paper. And the same thing kind of happened with my own sons. They weren't getting the education. They weren't getting a nutrition education, movement education. And I've just heard that from a lot of people that regretted not getting that education within the school system. And I think it does make a huge impact. But when you're talking about being proactive and finding something that's going to end up being sustainable, it starts with our kids, and just getting them, exposing them to healthier lifestyles and healthier nutrition before the bad stuff gets ingrained. I think there can be a lot of success there. So schools would be one of the passions that I have that probably trumps the other organizations as far as the excitement of what's going to come.
I think how intentional we have to be, especially as the schools reopen this fall. So I'm so grateful for the work that you're doing and the passion you're bringing to those young people to help them with that healthier lifestyle. Well, we talk about the Power Nine. I know you're very familiar with the Power Nine. So as we kind of wrap things up here today, I'd love to know, what's your favorite Power Nine and why, Trent?
Wow. I would say purpose. Purpose would be one of those. I believe that's something that most of us at some point in our lives will really just take a long, hard, deep look at that. What is the meaning? Not only what is the meaning of life, but what is my meaning within this life? How can I make an impact? Where are my strengths and interests, and how is that being tied into something that I'm doing that makes an impact, and being something that's a part of something larger than yourself?
You and I are very consistent in that. Purpose is my favorite as well. And I just heard a great talk on marrying up our purpose with those passions and how that brings some intentionality behind our life. Trent, thank you so much for being here today. And thank you for the work that you're doing on behalf of our community to help all of us to live well longer. It's been a great joy getting to know you, and I look forward to seeing great things ahead for our community.
Thank you, Angela. And I know that no one else will get it probably watching this podcast, but go Fleet.
That's right. Go Fleet. We can say that together. Well, I just really want to thank you so much to the Blue Zones Project Brevard. We also want to give a shout out and thank you to Wildflower Media for their technical support and their creative support, as well as the Pisgah Health Foundation, their board of directors, their staff, and the Physicians Roundtable for all the work they continue to do to help our community to stay well and to live well longer. Everyone, take care, and I look forward to seeing you on the next Pisgah Health Today.